Welcome to Mastering ServiceTitan, where we get expert advice from power users. I'm your host, Josh Slew, and today I'm here with Alyssa Rogers. Alyssa is the Vice President at Rogers Heating and Cooling, and we'll be diving deep into the topic of financing. Alyssa, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me today, Josh. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we always love talking with you. And I wanted to kick off the conversation with some really impressive stats from your business. And it's that 30% of your revenue comes through financing. You guys have about a 41% close rate on all your installs. And your average ticket on service is hovering around $3,200, which is super impressive. And wanted to ask, in your words, maybe outside of those nerdy numbers there, how has financing been beneficial for your business?
Oh my gosh, our business would not be where it is today without financing. There is no way we could have grown at the pace that we have grown without it. Because let's face it, the world today, it's really tough to spend thousands of dollars on anything right now.
And if we were to rewind the clock, you didn't always have financing. When did you first get started, and what was that journey like getting started?
Yeah. So we when we took over the business in 2018, my husband and I, we weren't offering financing, but we were finding that we weren't closing as many jobs because people just didn't have the funds to replace their system. And they were going with a lot of repair options because that is what they could afford, even if they wanted a new system. And so we said, okay, what can we do to help out our customers? Because we always want to be customer focused and do what's in the best interest of them. So we started reaching out to financing companies and seeing how they could help. And we signed on with one. So in the very beginning, we only had one financing company, and then learned very quickly that with that company that we were working with, you have to have a pretty high credit score to even be approved. And then we said, okay, now we're able to finance some customers. So our business is growing a little bit more, but what are we going to do for the ones that don't have the highest credit scores? And so that's when we started adding on more and more financing companies to be able to provide every customer with a solution to their home.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems like a difficult problem of all the different fees and the rates and all the different terms. How did you approach that in the beginning? And what recommendations would you have for people?
Oh gosh, do you want to know the bad stuff that's happened? In the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. And so, we're excited, we're signed on with a financing company, and then they talk to us about, let's say we sold a job for $10,000 and we push it through financing to then realize we're only getting a certain percentage of that $10,000 because we were getting charged what is called a dealer fee. And so that's really important to know about if you're looking to get into financing so you can price yourself correctly. And we didn't know that we were supposed to be doing that. And so we learned a lot through that, and then learned that, the customer should never know about the dealer fees and the agreements that we have with those financing companies. It should be between you, the financing company, and that's it.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about 0% APR. I feel like this is kind of a hot topic. How do you all handle that? When is it right to use versus not?
Yeah, we have offered 0% APR a lot. And when we first started using financing, that's the only option we offered. We learned very quickly that you don't have to just offer 0% because many of the people that go with the 0% options can afford to pay for it without financing. So always remember that because, it's a heck of a deal if someone doesn't have to take out $10,000 from their account and they can just pay 0% interest over time. So we still offer it throughout the year. We tend to do it in our slower seasons, but it's a great marketing tool to use if you can price yourself correctly. The number one piece of advice I would give anyone is price yourself correctly if you want to offer that, because they are going to be the higher dealer fee plans. But I don't forbid it because it's a great tool to get people to say, hey, I know I need to do this. Let me go ahead and do this now when I can get this good deal. So I don't hate it, but we don't offer it all the time. We're very strategic on when we do.
That's really smart. For making sure you're priced correctly, how do you guys handle that with all the different plans and all the different dealer fees? Do you average it across the board or do you change the prices dynamically based on the plan?
Yeah, we definitely go across the board. So we do flat rate pricing and making sure that, we're not changing the pricing for certain people. And of course, when you do it that way, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some, but it all averages out.
Yeah, so I think it was Monday we had a conversation about disclosing dealer fees and some of the dangers there. Part of this podcast, we'd love to share some of the bumps and bruises along the way so people don't make the same mistakes. Can you
Correct.
share that story again, that horror story that happened?
Yes, and it is a horror story. And it's one of those moments. I don't know about anyone that's watching or listening to this, but I always say, like, at moments throughout this business journey, those big moments and those big mistakes, I'm like, I'm going to be talking on a stage about this. This is a stage worthy moment. And so look at me now. Here's one of the stage worthy moments that we went through during our growth. We, being very customer focused and wanting to be very transparent, or a transparent company. So we disclosed the dealer fees with customers, not thinking we were doing anything wrong. We just wanted them to know that we are working with this company, and to finance, it's going to be this much money. And we didn't know that we weren't allowed to disclose that. And so we had a customer call the company just with questions on his loan, and he had disclosed that we had told him about a dealer fee. And so it just opened up a can of worms. We had no idea. And then the finance company reached out to us and said, okay, now we're going to audit you and everyone that you financed for the last 2 years. We're going to go through and call the customers and kind of audit everything you've done. And we had to send them all our proposals. And it was a very long process. And we ended up having to pay back to the financing company all of those dealer fees. And it was a very large expense. And it's one that I don't want anyone to have to ever go through.
Do you remember how you felt when you got that call or received that email?
Running a business is all about gut punches. A lot of moments. That was definitely a gut punch moment, gut wrenching. And it's even harder when you don't think you're doing anything wrong. Like, you really didn't mean to do anything wrong. And so, it's one of those, you got to do what's right and you got to follow what they're telling you to do. And what I do learn in those situations, as long as you work with whatever's going on and whoever's coming to you with something, as long as you work with them and show that you're a good person and you mean well, they'll typically work with you. But yeah, it was, I have like a gut punching feeling right now just thinking about it. It's taking me back.
Sorry to put you back in that place. It just really shows, though, it came from a good place. Like, you wanted to be transparent, and it just really highlights the values that Rogers Heating and Cooling has about being transparent and just being there for the customer. Maybe a little bit too much in that case. You
Yes.
didn't know you were crossing a line, but all from a good place.
Correct. And we've definitely learned from it, and we no longer do that.
And one of the things you mentioned that I thought was a really cool idea was you guys have a cheat sheet now that you provide to your team. Can you share a little bit about that cheat sheet and how that helps your technicians make decisions when it comes to what plans to offer and all that?
Yeah, it's really important because I do have a lot of people ask me, why do you offer so many options? And it's truly because we want to find a solution for every customer, and every customer situation is different. And so, because we offer a lot of financing options, we want to make sure we pick the best one for the customer. And so we made a cheat sheet, and it takes you along a journey with the customer, and it's forward facing for the customer. So the technician can show them and say, okay, what do you know your credit score? And if you do, what is that score? And then if they say that it's in a lower range, we know that we shouldn't even try for the companies that require a higher credit score. And if they have a high credit score, then we know which ones we need to go to. And then it takes them through, if they're the homeowner, and kind of what interest rate they would be happy with, or the term. Because some people say, I would like to pay it off in a year, and we have great options for that. And some people say, I want to spread it out as long as I can. And there are options for that too. So it just kind of takes them through a journey to where the customer feels like they're choosing the best option for themselves too.
That is genius. It makes it really so they don't have to think too much or second guess themselves, but and look at it together with the customer, go through it. It almost sounds like a flow chart of some kind of like this is
It
this question, this
is.
question.
And then, we have the logos of the financing company on there. So then the customer is seeing that logo already. So when they start getting approved and they're getting the paperwork to their email and they're getting stuff in the mail, it already looks like something that they know, and they don't think it's junk mail or spam.
That's so smart. And it feels very transparent too. Like, hey, we're on your side. These are all the different partners that we have. And some are good for you and some may not be good for you. It's like it feels very transparent, not like you're trying to push something on them.
Correct. It very much is.
Now, when it comes to working with your technicians, what does training look like and onboarding them? And what are some of the routines that you guys have for that training?
Yeah. So we have an amazing sales manager, Justin Lloyd, who does fantastic training with our technicians and really getting them programmed in their mind that financing is okay, and kind of putting themselves in the customer's shoes and saying, okay, make yourself the customer. If your HVAC system wasn't working and you had to replace it for thousands of dollars, what option would you go with? And would you feel more comfortable knowing that you could spread payments across multiple years? And so it really is. We're very open with our technicians that this is an option. And it even starts in our opportunity center. When the first phone call comes in and you can read a customer. If they're very stressed out and you're talking about payment expectations, they're like, I have no idea how I'm even going to afford a repair. You can then open that conversation up and say, well, we offer low interest financing options. Is that something you're interested in today? And so it starts even with the initial phone conversation and letting customers know we're there for them to help them out in this situation. And then the technicians, they will provide an estimates, good, better, best. And a question that we learned a long time ago was, would you like to pay with your money or ours today? And the customer says, your money? What do you mean by that? And we say, well, we offer financing options, and you can use that to pay for this repair or replacement today. And so it really is a lot of training with the technicians, but all of our technicians are very well aware of all of our options.
It really sounds like your team leads with financing right at the beginning of the call. I think in even some marketing materials you may put out there that you offer financing. Do you have a favorite coaching story about a technician who maybe didn't like offering it or struggled with it and then was able to turn that around?
Sure. I mean, we have, especially with interest rates, right? We all hear about interest rates. And if you're looking at an interest rate of, let's just say 10%, 12%, whatever it may be, personally, we're like, dang, that's a high interest rate. And there are a lot of people that are programmed to say, don't finance, don't get credit cards, high interest. And so we have had technicians that come in and they are like, cash only everything, and I don't want to make someone do that to themselves. And it really is having to recoach them and just letting them know that the customer is their own person and they're going to make their own decisions, and that is what's best for them. And we always have to just provide them the solutions. They don't have to go with us and they don't have to choose that option, but they deserve to know that the option's there. And so and some customers may say, absolutely not, I will not do that. And that's okay too. But at least we provided a solution to their problem, and then it's on them on how they want to move forward.
It totally goes back to putting the customer first and letting them know. It's better for them to know and reject it than to not know at all, right?
And why would we ever, a customer called us out there because they have a problem. It's not like we're just going and showing up and telling them, hey, I'm coming to your home today. They called us. So they're calling us so we can provide them a solution. And that's our job. That is our duty, is to go there and provide them the solutions to their problems. And it's up to them on how they decide to go forward with it.
I feel like we need to capture that mindset, put it in a bottle, and just give it to every technician out there. Can we
Yes.
dive a little bit into detail about what your technician training looks like? Like how often do you guys do training, and what do you do during that training?
Yeah. So we do, of course, we do the technical trainings every week, but we are very, very focused on the customer experience. And so we do Mondays and Fridays. We do training with our sales department, and it is a lot of sales training, objection training, which has financing included in those objections, but they really go through role playing and putting each other in certain situations and really how to provide the customer the best experience. So our technicians are here twice a week for that training exclusively, and it's been beneficial for us, and it truly is how we grow, because we just had a technician this week call and say that same scenario that we role played on Monday, I just had that happen, and he ended up closing a big job because he had already gone through that whole role play with teammates.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've seen Justin give some examples of some of the questions he asks and some of the role playing. Justin, your sales manager, and he is such a pro. That is so cool.
Yes. I highly recommend anyone that wants some advice on objection handling and role playing in their business, reach out to us and I'll get you hooked up with Justin. He's amazing.
That is so generous of you. So if we go back to the journey, so you started with one partner and then eventually started adding more financing partners to provide more options for your customers. Where did ServiceTitan's integration come in to put that all in one place?
Oh my gosh, when that happened, we were like jumping up and down. So happy because the process when we started with financing was it was all in-house, but in the office. So our technicians didn't have access to the financing platforms. So they would be at a customer home and they would call me and then Justin once he was hired and say, okay, I have a customer, they would like to get financed, and we'd either have to bring them into the office to fill out the paperwork or talk to them over the phone or send them links and do all kinds of things. And so it just extended the jobs and everything. And so when we found out ServiceTitan was integrating with a lot of financing companies, we signed up immediately. And now our technicians, when they're in the home, they can get the customer financed, and the customer is putting all the information in. So if you have technicians that say, I don't feel comfortable getting people's personal information and asking them those kind of questions, they don't have to. They can send a link to the customer for them to fill out on their personal device, or they can take them and take them to the platform where the customer fills out all the information. And so the technician doesn't feel uncomfortable, because it can be uncomfortable asking those questions.
Yeah, finance is a deeply personal topic, right? There's a lot of emotions and history about it. So I still can't believe if we rewind the clock that they had to come to the office at times and fill out paperwork, and you had to answer the phone for every single one of those applications. That is crazy.
Every single one. I mean, Josh, I have been in the grocery store. I have been pulled over on the side of the road, getting people approved for financing years ago. Like anywhere, I would just stop and help the technician and the customer out. But yeah, it's come a long way. Thank you, ServiceTitan, for making it much easier for us.
ServiceTitan has been investing a lot of resources into building out the integration and making it better for the customer and for you all to make it a smoother experience. For those who don't even know what the integration is, can you describe what is the integration?
It's really seamless. I mean, there's a whole integration team that you can talk to and say, they will give you all the options and what works best for you and kind of what you want to be leading with, which company, but they make sure everything is integrated, and then you just make sure your technicians are signed up for it and able to offer it. And then you can even have the estimates when they are presenting estimates to have the financing monthly payment on each one. And so that's when it opens up the conversation. Would you like to make monthly payments for this, or would you just like to pay for all of it today? But they make it super easy, and there's a lot of reporting that you can pull to see how many customers are financing or how many have gotten approved and declined. And it's just simplified everything for us.
And I want to highlight the integration there's no additional cost to integrate. So if you're already financing with various partners, you can just integrate them and put them all into one place within ServiceTitan, and there's no additional cost for it. I did pull up some stats to look at our customers who are using the integration for financing versus not. And those using the integration have a 16% higher average ticket size. Those using the integration have an 8% higher close rate compared to those not using the integration. And of course, individual results may vary. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to play one on the internet. I just got to throw that out there because, who knows, right? Every market's different. But yeah, across the board, those are pretty convincing numbers to me.
It'll grow your organization. All of those customers that you're leaving because they don't have the funds to pay for what you just offered them, you just spent time out there and you're leaving them, and they're going to call someone else. So why not offer the financing to them, make them feel more comfortable, and they're going to use you forever.
And for customers who are interested, how about for those who aren't doing financing at all? What would the first step be for them?
Don't be scared of it, because I don't want my story from the beginning to scare anyone because you're not going to make that same mistake that we did. Learn from us and just start with one. If you don't offer any financing, just start with one company, get used to it, learn the process, form a relationship with that company, because every financing company we use, we have a relationship manager, and we can call them at any time and ask questions to make sure we're doing the right thing. And they help us with the whole process. So don't be scared of it, and then just start with one. And once you get really comfortable with that one, then you can start adding some more and really identifying what customers really want and what they need.
When you work with that partner, do you have any advice on how to form that relationship and what kinds of questions or conversations you should be having with them?
Yeah. So every time we join a new financing company, you'll have sales representatives or a relationship manager reach out, and they're going to help you go through the process of getting signed up with them. And a lot of it is you're just telling them information about your business and how much you think that you're going to be financing for customers or what your revenue is. And so then you just start asking them questions. What are your expectations of us? How can we make sure that we form a great relationship? Please disclose the dealer fees. Like, what are your most popular plans? Because every financing company has multiple options of plans you can offer. And so ask them what their most popular is. And so then you already know what the customers are going to really want, because majority of the people are going with this certain plan. And I would also advise not to say, I'm just going to offer every plan, because then that definitely gets confusing for your customer, overwhelming, gets confusing for your technician. So we choose the top 3 plans to offer, and we take into account the dealer fees for those and the term of the loans and all of that. So make sure you're strategically picking the plans for you that are going to work best for your company.
And that's where that relationship manager can probably help in, right? And advise, because they've probably seen all kinds of businesses offer all kinds of plans.
Absolutely. And being transparent. Hey, we've never offered financing before. what advice do you have for us? How can you help us grow this side of the business? They want to grow just as much as you do. So form that relationship, and they'll help guide you along the way. And then you can you get to the point where if a customer is declined, you can call them and say, hey, did I fill this out right? Or was there a mistake somewhere? Like, what's going on with this? Because it could be a very simple error that maybe we typed the last name in wrong, or, the customer put a wrong number in an address or something. And so call them and ask them, and they can help you out there too.
Sounds like they are definitely someone you want on your team. Once you get set up with them, do you have ongoing conversations with them going forward?
Oh, yeah. We talk to ours on a regular basis, and they also reach out because some financing companies will offer like special promotions at certain times throughout the year. And so they'll reach out and say, hey, here's, an offer that we have with a low dealer fee for the next couple months. And so you can offer that to your customers, and it can really help you out too. So definitely keep a close relationship with them. They'll help you a lot.
People always love promotions.
Yes. Yes. And it's always good when it can help the business too.
100%. Now, for those who maybe they're beyond that step, they have one or two or maybe three partners that they're working with, but they haven't integrated it into ServiceTitan yet. Do you have any advice for those people?
Yeah, do it. I mean, what do you have to lose, right? And I mean, we're always looking for ways to make things easier on the techs in the field and our comfort advisors. And so why not go ahead and integrate it so you can have better reporting? You're not having to go to multiple platforms and sites to figure things out, and your technicians have it at their fingertips, because there's nothing worse than having your technician having to go into multiple apps or however you're doing it to complete a transaction when they can do it all in ServiceTitan.
Okay, so if they're convinced now, they're gonna do it, but they're scared. They're like, oh, what do you think is like the biggest challenge or areas that I should watch out for when I'm trying to integrate all in one place and then train everybody on this? Like, people are hesitant of change sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to that person who's ready, but then they want to know what's ahead?
You know what? Joey, my husband and owner of Rogers Heating and Cooling, he loves to implement things like in the heat of the moment, the busiest time of year. And so I know that we are in the heat of battle right now in the summer, and it can be very overwhelming. Like, I can't imagine implementing anything new right now. It's the best time to do it. I want everyone to know that, because everyone's so busy, they don't have anything to complain about. They don't have time to complain or say, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. They're going from call to call to call to call, and they get more experience with it because they have more calls that they're running during this time of year. We actually transitioned over to ServiceTitan 3 years ago. This week is
Oh,
our
wow.
3-year anniversary with ServiceTitan. And so we did it July 1. It was the busiest time of year, and we implemented the whole platform to our team, and they learned it very quickly because they had lots of jobs. We were really busy, and they didn't have time to complain about it because they were so busy.
That's amazing. When you're in the heat of the moment, you just have to keep going. You can't really pause and like soak in the misery or whatever, or get in your head about it. You're just like, the next call's coming up, and you get another repetition, another chance to practice the new workflow, it sounds like.
Exactly. So do it in the heat of the moment. Don't be scared of the change. The team will get on board because they don't really have anything else, they're just focused on making it happen in these moments. Yeah.
Last thing I want to touch on is something really unique that your company does, which is the Rogers Radio podcast. Can you talk about how that has benefited your business and what it is?
My love. I love the Rogers Radio podcast. I host the podcast once a week, and we took a different approach to a podcast and made it very community focused. So we bring on local businesses, local community leaders, and we get to know them and their journey. And so every week we're going out and about and showcasing other businesses. They're coming to ours. And then one once a month I get on and I talk about what's going on at Rogers and some personal stuff, which is really cool. But it's been instrumental to our growth here at Rogers. It's something I love doing. I highly recommend anyone that wants to start a podcast to look at the local approach because it is an option and it will grow the business greatly.
That is so smart. It's cool. There's a networking aspect. There's a community support aspect where you get to highlight a local business every single week. And then I'm sure you guys are trading strategies about how you're running the business, advice, marketing tips. And then you get to share your update once a month and people can follow that journey of how your business is doing. Sounds like
Absolutely.
all around a genius idea.
Thank you so much. I love doing it, and it has been really fantastic to get to know our community on a different level.
That's so cool. I'll put a link in the description of this episode so people can check it out if they want to model after it. That is
Yes,
such a great idea. Podcasting is such a cool way to meet people, and I'm
it
just
sure
learning
is.
that more and more. So, yeah, in summary, I think we covered a lot of good advice today. So, for those, I just wanted to sum up for those, if you're not on financing, oh my gosh, start now. Start with just one financing partner. Put in that application or give them that call and just get the ball rolling. For those of you who are maybe at level 2, you've got one financing partner or maybe a few, and you want to learn how to integrate it all together. We'll put a link in the description where you can learn more about ServiceTitan's integration. Again, it's no additional cost. It's included in your ServiceTitan plan. And we got a team that you can get set up with because every business is so different. So you can talk to them. They'll help you get set up. They'll introduce you to different partners or even look at the partners you have now. And then we also have training. So for those of you who are on the integration, but you don't really use it that well, we got free training every week. We'll put that link in the description as well. I wanted to share that resource for you all. So wherever you're at, I hope there was something valuable today. Alyssa, thank you so much again for joining us. We covered a lot and hope to have you back again one day.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations on season 1 of this podcast. I
Thank you
can't
so
wait to
much.
listen to all the episodes.
Me too. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you next time.